Hi, I am Devin, Senior Veterinary Care Specialist with Heartstrings Pet Hospice, and this is Dr. Rhonda Faulks, our primary veterinarian in Knoxville, Tennessee. How are you, Dr. Rhonda?
Doing great today. Beautiful weather out here today.
I love it. Dr. Rhonda, I have some questions for you, and I'd love your take on these. Let's
Sure.
start with what first inspired you to become a veterinarian?
Oh, wow. Okay, let's see. Probably it would be my first experience was working with Dr. Dale Schwartz in a small town just west of Nashville. He was a mixed practice veterinarian, so he did some small animal, but he also did a lot of large animal where he would leave the clinic and go out on calls. I was probably, I would say, kind of, if you will, like his girl Friday, um, answering phones, cleaning cages, helping with appointments if he needed an extra hand, even loading a bale of hay precariously on the back end of a Volkswagen Bug to deliver out in the field to the cows. I loved every aspect of the work with him and realized veterinary medicine was the profession I wanted to be in. Um, so
That's amazing. Did you always know you wanted to work with animals, or did that passion grow over time?
I know this probably sounds very cliche, but I always loved animals as a kid. However, I think it was that job with Dr. Schwartz that really drove me to pursue a career in the veterinary field. I applied and went to Columbia State Community College from 1984 to 86 and received my Associate of Applied Science degree. And I worked as a licensed vet tech in both clinics and research for probably 11 years before applying and being accepted to UT's College of Veterinary Medicine in 1997 at the tender age of 37.
See, it's not too late to start your next
It's
career.
it is never too late. It is never too late.
Were there any pets or experiences from your childhood that shaped your career choice?
I'm not sure that this would be an experience per se that I can say shaped my career choice, but growing up in our small neighborhood, everybody had pets. And when those pets passed, we always had funerals and buried them in the what we called the Bellwood backyard graveyard. We took very much care to bed them down nice. We even built, caskets out of cardboard to bury them. But I really can't think of anything else really as a kid that would have shaped my career choice.
What is the biggest challenge you faced while in veterinary school?
I would say the biggest challenge for me was being one of the oldest in the class. It was just the volume of material, as you get older, I think for me anyway, just retaining and being able to, absorb and retain and then reproduce over those 4 years.
Was there a particular class, professor, or clinical experience that confirmed you were on the right path?
Oh, again, thinking back, 24 years, I can't think of a moment in particular. It was probably a combination of just all 4 years, all the moments. If I had to pick a particular class, I think it would be anatomy with Doctors Reed and Henry, and maybe parasitology with Dr. Patton would be right up there as well. Dr. Sharon Patton, she truly loved teaching and loved all of her students. I mean, who thought worms could be fun, right? But anatomy, just, learning all the parts and pieces and how they all work together was just really an interesting and inspiring.
If you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self before starting this journey?
Be sure that my younger self knew that veterinary medicine is a people business. On the other end of every leash is a human being. It's not just about being drawn to caring for the pet and your love for animals. Caring for the pet is the easy part, I think, but you have to be prepared to handle just all of those people situations that you may be faced with as well.
Did you ever consider another career before deciding on veterinary medicine?
I went down several career paths: directory assistance operator for the phone company, bookkeeping department at a bank, insurance brokerage company. But again, it circles back to the job with Dr. Schwartz that I mentioned earlier. And I was with him for probably a year, year and a half. And it was at that time that I knew I wanted to be in the veterinary field in some capacity.
What do you love most about supporting families through end of life care?
Um, I think this is just a pretty short answer, but just providing comfort and allowing the family to cherish those final moments in whatever that means for them. Whether it means, being out in the yard with them for a little bit, or, being under a favorite tree where the pet like to, to hang out. It just allows for a peaceful and loving farewell for their beloved pet.
How do you stay grounded during the emotional moments of this work?
As sad of a time as it is, I think just knowing that we're giving the pet a peaceful passing, alleviating any pain and suffering in a familiar and loving environment, where their owners, their pet parents, if you will, can be right there with them, um, holding them, uh, laying on their bed with them, whatever the case may be. But just knowing that that pet is getting a peaceful passing and not suffering anymore.
What do you find most meaningful about providing care in home rather than in a clinic setting?
So I think being able to move 100% at the owner's pace, be it 30 minutes or 2 hours, and sometimes longer. This is their time, and we respect that. I think just being in the home with the owner and the pet, where the owner feels more relaxed, free to express emotions that they may not if they were in a clinic setting. Um, a clinic setting to owners, especially at a time like this, can seem cold, sterile, if you will. They're either on a cold, hard floor, even if it's got a blanket on it, or, stainless steel table. Some want to have a small service for their pet, which would not happen in a clinic setting. And the pet is definitely in a more relaxed state and can be in a favorite spot or even on the owner's lap for the little guys. Um, and if the family has other pets that they want to be present, or that they want to be able to say goodbye afterwards, we're able to allow that. So, it's pretty much anything and anywhere goes on these home visits.
What's the one thing you wish every pet parent knew about hospice and in home end of life care?
Yeah. So quality of life, in my opinion, is one of the most, if not the most important factor in end of life care. Helping owners know how to evaluate their pet's quality of life, their appetite. Are they eating? Do they seem to be in pain? Some of the things for them to look for: restlessness, increased panting, reluctance to move, hydration, hygiene, for cats. So the cats, have they stopped grooming themselves? Just overall happiness of the pet. Good days versus bad days. Those kind of things are going to help them know when it's time to begin planning for euthanasia. And for those owners who are not quite ready to say goodbye, there are palliative options and treatments that we can recommend and do in the home and try to keep the pet comfortable, even for a day or two, if that's the case, while the owner digests or wraps their head around, if you will, an unexpected diagnosis, um, from their veterinarian. If they've been to the vet for what they think is going to be a sprained knee and it turns out to be cancer, they're not ready for that. And they've got to have time to digest that. For whatever time that takes. And some of the things that we can offer for this end of life care, or, hospice care, would be, sub-Q fluids, something to help their appetite, pain meds. If it's a dog that's having trouble walking, putting rugs out to help them with traction, raising food in water bowls to help if you've got a little one that's got neck pain or spinal pain. And these are just a few things, but it's a great opportunity, I think, for us to reach out and serve our community and to help these owners, during these hard times.
What drew you to join Heartstrings Pet Hospice specifically?
So I think, the company brand, the values and what Heartstrings stands for, the compassion, respect, dignity. Um, those I think are the main things. And then, there's the added things, the flexible schedule. We can have a great work-life balance as well as the non-compete that is not there. There is not one. And of course, just the Heartstrings team, all of whom have been just absolute rock stars for us doctors. I mean, they truly, Billy, all the team takes such great care of us and make sure that things are done like they're supposed to.
It was totally that first phone call when you got me on the phone. I know it.
It was, yes, absolutely, 100%.
How does working at Heartstrings differ from your previous veterinary experiences?
I'd say number one is the clients, that even during a very, very difficult time, a sad time, a heart-wrenching, gut-wrenching time for the client, I would say every client that I have encountered um, has been so appreciative and so thankful for the service that we are providing. And if you all have heard me say this once, you've heard me say it, several dozen times. It's been like a breath of fresh air for me. Very rewarding. It brings me, as weird as it sounds, just such joy to be able to serve the families in and around the Knoxville community, that they have allowed me to come into their home and give their pets a peaceful passing and to be able to support and comfort them as well.
What does compassion, respect, and dignity mean to you in your day-to-day work at Heartstrings?
It means treating, um, treating and serving both the pet and the owner with empathy, kindness, respect, professionalism. Um, I think trying to take away pain, fear, anxiety for the pet, being honest and courteous with the owner, acknowledging their emotions and fears that they might be having, and ensuring a peaceful and pain-free passing. And then just respectfully handling the pet's body and aftercare afterwards.